Serve and protect, guys.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
Some corrupt police officers.
Holy shit, how weird.
Police officers.
Holy shit, how weird.
That's the GG house, guys. I don't know if I can zoom in or not. No, everybody, you have a nice house with a waterfront.
They went with songs in the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eyes, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall not grow old as we that left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. And at the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Guess what I forgot to bring down with me?
One job, mate.
One job, eh? You think I'd get it after how many weeks has it been? We'll go back to the old letter. How's that? Dear Your Excellency, the Honourable David Hurley, as Governor General of this nation, this letter is a direct appeal to the growing cohort of Australian citizens, both here and at home. We call on you to action a public reveal of the unredacted findings of the police report from the Woods Royal Commission 1995 to 1997. The Woods Royal Commission, as catalogued with the Police Integrity Commission, resulted in a 90-year suppression order containing 28 names of alleged pedophiles of prominent stature, including judges, government officials, an ex-Prime Minister, and others frightening enough. That the Australian Government and Parliament has made no attempt to undo the 90-year suppression order for the supposed safety and well-being of the population is unacceptable. Revisited again in 2015 in the Senate Legal and Constitutional Legislation Committee meeting, the then Senator Bill Heffernan delivered the same request for the findings to be released to the public. As the Senator stated, and not so much the secret that's the problem, it's when a group of people such as the 28 on the police report keep each other's secrets. Further into his appeal, he quoted the judge of the day. We decided not to revisit this issue because the public would lose confidence in the judiciary system. Governor General, how can you justify a 90-year suppression order on a police report from the Woods Royal Commission given that the taxpayers paid out roughly $64 million on this case. We have the right to full disclosure of the investigation, given that we paid for it and therefore own it. 26 painful years later, we have stood each week since August 30, 2021 at Government House in Queensland, and then daily since the 7th of February in this location. We are either real victims, family members of victims, friends of victims of the appalling industry of child trafficking and pedophilia. Governor General, your recent choice is herein acknowledged to reply to the letter sent to you. We the people reserve the right to process the information in this letter and return a reply in writing. Governor General, we the people ask you why the Governor General office has not stepped forward in the obvious overreach from the police in inhibiting the rights of peaceful political protesters from this country, which is their Australians' rights, legal rights. Let it be up to the citizens of Australia to determine their level of confidence in Parliament, the judiciary system and police in this matter. Yours sincerely, concerned people of Australia. Couldn't quite remember how that last bit went. Yeah, pretty sure he's probably got it written down. Probably got a few saved. So interestingly enough, I've been getting bombarded with a lot of info from people lately of people saying that the suppression order doesn't exist. Right, so the suppression order was put on by the magistrate Hilary Henman, who just happened to be Howard's niece. That is knowledge, known knowledge. So how does the suppression order that doesn't exist, we know who put it on, but it doesn't exist. And then another thing that's been coming up to late is that the suppression order is actually on the 28 victims. Incorrect. That is not true either. So all of a sudden, something that they didn't want to talk about has been getting talked about a lot, but it's all about how it doesn't exist, it doesn't happen, it didn't happen. Look, there is 62 suppression orders that we know of out there. There's one of 800 incidences in the government system to do with the kids that have been taken from their families, etc., in custody. So this misinformation is out there from people. People are coming to me with people that they've been following with the freedom movement who are saying these things, right? I listened to one this morning, and I was listening away, and they lost me at, I used to be a Labor person, but now I'm a Liberal person, right? And then he's busy telling us how the suppression order doesn't exist. Well, as soon as he said I'm a Liberal person, I went, well, that's why. Because Albanese didn't want to talk about it, did he, when he got asked? He ran the other direction. Right? So something that doesn't exist, that's had no traction for 26 years, all of a sudden there's a very hot topic in the middle of an election. And we're surprised that they're telling us that it doesn't exist, or that the names of victims, or that it just didn't happen. Right? There's enough information out there. There's people that have seen the diaries of some of the 28 have committed suicide and read them. All right? There's lots and lots of information that grounds this as fact. The fact checkers that worked with Malcolm Roberts found that there was no suppression order. Well, as soon as he says the word fact checkers, that terminology alone is their terminology, right? They didn't exist until 3 years ago when we had a pandemic. So don't be surprised if you get this information out there that says it doesn't exist. Do your own research. Don't rely on what other people send you.
What was Bill Hefner holding?
Yeah, did people see the disgust on that guy's face when he wasn't reading the phone book? All right? And they had a Senate inquiry about it. What, about the phone book? And look, they've actually changed the legislation now for royal commissions where anything that's spoken about behind closed door gets an instant 99-year suppression. Yeah, because they don't want people to know about this shit. Right? They prosecute the pedophile that they find somewhere in a local constituent. The police prosecute that because it looks good. Right? That's right. They're doing something about it, they say. And yet we have a list of names of all the pedophiles in Australia, but it's not publicly available. It's one of the only Western countries in the world that does that.
I just want to tell him that he's being streamed in at least 9 countries at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. They suppress suppression orders, the fact that it's there, because that's what the whole deal with suppression orders are. So, guys, if you get this information, don't spread it around. Do the research for yourself and make sure that you're passing on information that's not just hearsay. I've stopped looking at this crap. I don't need to be told. Right? I know in here that there's a problem everywhere, not just over there. So make your own mind up. You can read into whatever you want, but just look, guys. You can see what they've been doing. Someone told me yesterday they put something on Facebook. It lasted 20 minutes. Yeah. 20 minutes. Well, if it doesn't exist, why are they so keen to get rid of it? Why don't they just come out with what it is then, or what it isn't? That'd be the easiest way to solve the problem, right?
Yeah, and so to Malcolm Roberts, I've invited you to call me. I've been on your website. I've left my name. So know who I am.
Guys, please.
Malcolm, you need to make contact with us right now. Do not leave it another day. I've left a message with my phone number, so call me. And to all the people who think that, who have some sort of problem with what we're doing here, I invite you to contact as well. Even better, come down here and join us. We're peaceful. We're happy to talk to you about it. I've said it 1,000 times. You either stand with us against the pedophiles or you stand with them. And you will be judged and you will be held to account. So the invite's there. You know where we are. We're here every day. Same time usually. So come down and talk to me. Don't be a gutless, spineless coward sitting behind your computer. Come down here and talk to me. Thank you.
I've also had people say to me, the Governor-General has no power. So why are you asking him to do something? You need to understand that he's the only one right now that has any power in the federal arena. Why? Because the government's been dismissed. We're going to an election. And he holds all the power for the federal government. And there are people in the states saying, let's overthrow the state governments and we can change things. All the problem is in Canberra. All the problem is in the federal arena. That's where the TGA tells us what we must put in our bodies and what we cannot put in our bodies. That's when APRA tells the doctors and the nurses what they can tell us about the truth and what they're not allowed to tell us about the truth. That's where they make the decisions on the mandates.
Federal overrides state.
Federal always overrides state. And the Governor-General is the only one that has the authority. The problem isn't a lack of authority. The problem is a lack of willingness to do something about it. And that brings up the natural question. Why is he wanting to protect these high-profile pedophiles? Why? I don't know what the answer to that question is, but that's a very relaxed at the moment, is a willingness to do something about it. And that's unacceptable. Do your job, Hurley.
Do your job!
You know that we are getting somewhere because they are trying so hard to shut this information up, how to get rid of this 28 names. You know, 28 pedophiles. That's just 28 on one suppression list. We don't even know how many's on the others. We know that there's another suppression order over 800 incidences that happened in government care. That's the second one we know of. 800. Right? This is a huge community problem in this country that needs solving. That's why they don't want to hear you talk about it. That's why they don't want to know about it. And that's why they keep debunking it.
Why are we on the riverbank here and not in front of the gates?
Yep. This is why they keep pushing us out, trying to get rid of us, because we get traction because we are not going away.
That's it.
We are not backing down. And now it has become an election issue. A countrywide election issue, and they are hating it because they can't go out and talk their garbage of what they're going to promise to do next year for you or the next 4 years for you, which they never go through with because they say, oh, Labor left it worse than we thought. Liberal left it worse than we thought. Now we have Liberal preferencing Labor and Labor preferencing Liberal. That shows you that it's not about fair elections. It's not about the people. It is about them getting into power to control and take your freedoms away.
Exactly.
That's all it is about. If you want to make a change, vote the small independent guy who's not preferencing anybody big. Right? It doesn't matter what their policies are. Get them in there to keep these guys on the straight and narrow. If you don't necessarily agree with the firearms party, but they're not preferencing the big four, vote for them anyway. Because the other big ones that you vote for are not going to do what you say anyway. So what are you bothering?
See, the AFP do not understand who we are. They have no idea who we represent. But when you stand here today, behind you there are thousands and thousands of people that believe what you and I do. But they can't be here with us, so we stand while they cannot. Our forefathers fought for our freedoms. And yet we allowed, through our neglect, through our sleepiness, we allowed them to take our freedoms bit by bit. But see, the point is this, is that freedoms are worth fighting for. You were born free. You don't have to go to anyone to claim freedom. You were born free, we are free, and we will stand for freedom. See, the reason the AFP don't know how to deal with us is you can't deal with people that know they're right. You can't deal with people that know they stand in their right. You're not going to run. You're not going to bow your knee to some crappy law. I've been here now since February. And the one thing that I see constantly is they keep telling us out of one side of their mouth, you have the right to peaceful protest. And on the other side, they lie about the laws, they act illegally, they arrest people, unarrest people, they arrest people, take them to court, throw out the charges. Why? Because they're trying to stop us from doing what we are legally allowed to do, which is to stand in our freedom and tell these bastards that they cannot have our freedom and we will not leave until they go. Yeah. They want us out of Canberra. Why? Because we have traction in Canberra. See, the Governor-General had a great policy. For a long while, we went there every day on his front doorstep and we did our ceremony every day. And what did he do? He ignored us. He pretended we did not exist. But we continued day after day after day until he could no longer ignore us. So we sent him a letter. So he thought, that's great. I don't need to act like a normal human being. I don't have to show them any respect because I do not respect them. They're standing for something I don't believe in. We're standing for freedom. We're standing for our rights to live in a free society, and these bastards work for us. So what happened? He got his letter. 3 weeks went by. We gave him 2 weeks to reply. And then we gave him some extra grace because there's postage issues. And then, after 3 weeks, Phil stood up and said, I've had enough. I'm going to be here on his front doorstep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, until he does the decency to reply. 4 hours later, we had a reply. Why? Because suddenly his policy of ignoring us didn't work. So we're standing around trying to understand this reply that said, I'm the Governor-General of Australia, but I have no authority in this matter. I say to you, he's got all the authority, he just doesn't have a willingness to use his authority. Which means we have to ask the obvious question. Why is he protecting these 28 high-profile pedophiles? Why is he doing it? Because he has the power to have this already done. So what happens? While we're there, still reading the letter, he sends one of his minions out. Some bloke with 3 pips on each shoulder and no understanding of the law. And he quoted to us an ordinance which is under NCA, which is under the federal government. An ordinance is a law set up by the Governor-General. But we had already seen the map given to us by the NCA, and the map said the land we're on was controlled by the ACT. So the ordinances did not apply. And so he came and gave us some bullshit story about we're going to be not protesting, we're going to be camping. And therefore, he's giving us a move-on order under the ordinance of trespass, because camping is against the ordinance of trespass. But the problem was this, is under the ACT law, camping has been removed from the trespass. So while this guy is talking to us, I'm trying to have a conversation asking him what law he's acting on, and he wouldn't give it to me. He wouldn't even tell me who had authority on that ground, because in Canberra there are 3 different groups. While he's doing that, the guards from the guardhouse come up, and they said, don't worry about it. This is in front of the senior officer. Don't worry about it. Come back to the car park. It's not their jurisdiction, it's our jurisdiction, and we are happy for you to continue your peaceful protesting all night in the car park. Woo! And this guy did not say one word. He just stood there like a fish with his mouth opening and shutting, and then went away. So we moved down to the car park. All the vehicles, all the people. And then we got the word from the guardhouse, they're coming out to smash us. Not the guardhouse, this idiot and his crew. Why is he an idiot? He did not even understand what the law was. Had no understanding. I asked him about it. In the end I said, you need to go back to school because you don't understand which law you're operating under. And so what happened was, they came out. But before they came out, they were assembling behind the gate. And so I went down there and I spoke to them loud enough so everyone could hear me. And I said, listen, we are here peacefully protest against the 28 high-profile pedophiles. That's what we're here for. And everything you guys do is to try and stop us in our legal right to protest. So if you come through that gate tonight to try and stop us legally protesting, peacefully protesting, then you are going to be supporting the pedophiles. So I don't want you going crying home to your mother that we called you a pedophile protector. You make up your own choice. When you come through that gate, you either are a protector of pedophiles or a supporter of the legal right to protest. Yeah. And then I said to them, as a commissioned officer, from the lowest rank to the highest rank, you have an obligation to refuse to follow a law you know to be unlawful. And I want to tell you that the move-on order is unlawful because it's based on an ordinance, not on the Act. Therefore, it's unlawful. And if you come through that gate tonight, you're acting unlawfully. And so the consequences are on you. Because if you act unlawfully, no one will cover for you. And what happened? They spent another 20 minutes having another conversation. But I don't know how many of those coppers refused to come through that gate that night. I'd like to think there were a few that said, you know what, I refuse that order because, in my opinion, it's an unlawful order. I don't know. We would never know because they would never show us that. And then they came through. But when they came through, they were unarmed. They took off their arms. 2 lines of coppers. And they started to arrest people. And I didn't understand why they wouldn't touch me.
You know too much.
I only figured it out later. And then they stopped because they arrested 8 or 9 people. And they said, this is not working. We normally arrest 1 or 2 and then the rest flee. But these people are standing the line. So the bigwigs went to the back and they were talking. And while the line just stood there silently, shoulder to shoulder. So I thought, stuff this, I'm here to protest peacefully. These people are acting illegally. So I walked down to the coppers and I put my arms out. I said, I'm here peacefully protesting. I refuse to leave. Therefore, you better arrest me now. And they just looked at me. No one even said a thing. So I thought, oh, sorry, guys. I was furious because they wouldn't arrest me. Why won't they do that? Because if you know what you're talking about, they'll look at you and go, waste of time, too much paperwork. They'll kill me in paperwork. No one wanted to put their name on that arrest warrant.
Can I ask why they took their guns off? It's not very usual. Why?
I think they were scared. They were scared that they may do something stupid. That's what I think.
That's a very, very loud statement, isn't it? That they've had to actually take their guns off their hips
They had
because
nothing.
they were too scared.
No pepper spray, no weapons, no tasers, nothing. No nightsticks. They were actually without arms.
Did we get that on film? Can anyone give me a film of that to put on my live stream? Cool.
Yeah, they got the guy who actually pepper sprayed got hit in the guts with a pole, accidentally, of course, and he had to go inside the gate to get the pepper spray and bring it out. Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is this. Since I've been in Canberra, the number one thing I've had is coppers breaking the law. Everyone that's been arrested has either been released unarrested, which is unheard of, or when they get to court, they ask, how do you plead? Not guilty. And then the prosecutor stands up and says, sorry, Your Honour, we're removing the charges. But it's important that we know what the law is. Because we're here as freedom fighters, because we know that if we don't win it here, we don't win it at all. And when I look around it, I see men and women just like myself. I'm nobody from nowhere. But in my heart, I know this is where the battle is, and this is where we win or lose it. And I've got good news. We are going to win this battle here because we will not leave until it's done. Yeah. That's why we're here. It does not matter how many we are. It matters what we believe on the inside, what our heart is telling us to be true, and to stand in that truth and refuse to bow our knee to this crap. Yeah. One for all and all for one. We are here for those who cannot be here, and we stand in the gap for them until they can stand for themselves. Why do we go to the Governor General and talk about the pedophiles? Because these are people that are continuing to do their evil trade against children because they're being protected by their mates in Parliament.
And the judiciary.
And the judiciary. And everyone else. I figured it out. There's at least another 100 to about 300 children in this nation that have been molested by pedophiles that are on that list. Because it's 26 years they've had their freedom to do what they like, protected by their mates. And I'm telling you, it's enough, and they can lie about, oh, it's an urban myth. Our facts checked, and it's not true.
Okay, Malcolm.
Listen, Bill Hafton stood in 2015, and he had in his hand the list. And they were shit scared he was going to release it under privilege. because he could have read out every one of those 28 and there was nothing they could do because he's under parliamentary privilege. And I could see in the video, you see the guy's getting really antsy because he starts to talk about who's on the list. There's a High Court judge. There's a former Prime Minister. So what happens? He then says, I believe in the justice system, so I will not reveal their names. I'm sorry, Bill, I don't believe in the justice system. There's only one reason that you can put in a suppression order. Actually, two reasons. First one is to protect the innocent, protect the victim. This is not protecting the victims. It's giving us more victims. And the second reason is that justice may be done. Where is the justice for those children? Where is the justice for those men and women whose lives have been destroyed by these creeps? There is no justice. Some court has ruled that it's justice to allow these ones to be hidden for 90 years. We're not talking about some weird accusations. We're talking about police records that would have been given to a police prosecutor and they would have been prosecuted in a court of law for their crimes. 28 of them. And that's just one list out of 62 lists we know of pedophiles in this country that have been suppressed.
For a while.
On another list.
So we can see we're down here on the lawn as usual. There was a statement made by a police officer that if there was more than 3 of us in the group after 6 o'clock, they're going to consider us camping and they'd move us on. So we've decided that we're going to have a barbecue up here after 6 o'clock. So we'll see how they go with that move on.
One question, Donna. How come you said that we were going to kick us out of 6:30? Are you a man of your word?
I'm only here to make sure that everything is done in accordance with law, mate. Oh, that's a good one. That's hilarious. That's very funny. Lots of video of you assaulting protesters.
All right, guys. So that's Dan across the road there. Having a discussion with 2 officers. Yeah, he's looking for name tags by the looks, because it's black over there, it's pitch black, so he's looking for name tags. And identify the officers that are talking to him. So they shine the light in his eyes, so he shines it back in their eyes, look, and then assault. That's assault, and then assault again. More assault. And then Dan walks off to the other side because he wants to de-escalate it because the police are assaulting him. And this is Donna. No, it's not Donna, but Donna comes. This is why Donna came down, guys, because she wanted to talk to Dan about her officer assaulting him, and it'd been Dan's fault.
Quick, put something on them, quick.
Oh, assholes!
We got ourselves hydraulic tissue.
Can I eat one in the shower? I'm dirty. I need a shower.
Oh, that's gonna spray on me. Hi everybody. I decided to turn the sprinklers on. Check your buggers.
Move along.
Certainly beats pepper spray, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Dickheads.
Fuck you guys.
I just did everything. Here I go.
That's what I would do, wouldn't you?
Well, it's not pepper spray.
Yeah, it's better than pepper spray. Let's go for that. Mine is bloody cold.
Sorry, mate. Stop all this curving.
Look at old Max, isn't it? Is that Matthew? Fucking nutcase. What a legend. He's on water up. Yeah, what? The other one over there. That's off. Good on you.
Oh, Michelle! Oh, Michelle! You're going to freeze to death! Hop on there!
Is that Donna's best plan? In this weather, eh? Anyone got a spotlight for him? Balls of style.
Wow.
Is that Sideshow?
Who is that?
That's Sideshow.
Ah, it's Sideshow.
I love you, Sideshow.
He's got his soap, bit of shampoo.
Is that Sideshow, wasn't it?
Sideshow.
Oh, goodness.
Where's this one?
If it was a
Water party. I've been gone for 5 minutes and you have a water party without me. Let's go there.
Oh, you that turned it on, you didn't Parliament House.
Live and too because I ran out of battery.
Phil, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
We need 50 metres of plastic. Stack.
You got all this blue plastic, yeah? That's like 20 metres long.
Slip and slide right down to that. Okay, let's go.
I'll walk down the Parliament House because I'll get bored. Yeah. Someone had a battery full.
You want to live with a battery fill?
Anyway, the shower's over. So we'll go live again if something else happens. Thanks for watching.